In this presentation, we'll be talking about sugar as a commodity while looking at the demand, the supply, the price, and the trends of sugar. So we decided to focus on two countries. These are Brazil and the USA.
So I'm going to start with an introduction. So sugar is an agricultural commodity who was extracted from sugarcane for the first time in India 10,000 years before Christ. But it only became popular in Occident between the 18th and the 20th century. And it now became an international everyday commodity. So the sugar has several uses, like for example domestic uses, like for cooking, or industrial uses, or to make ethanol and to make then alcohol. Like all desirable goods, it's a scarce resource, which means that the demand or the need for this product can be unlimited, but the production or the supply is not. So I'm going to now talk about the main characteristics of sugar. So when we talk about sugar, in sugar there's 80% who comes from the sugarcane and 20% who comes from the sugar beet. Sugarcane grows in more in a tropical climate, like in Brazil, for example, and sugar beet grows more in temperate climate, like a lot in France or in Russia. There's more than 130 countries in the world who are producing their own sugar, or just a part of their sugar. They are produced in either private manufacturers or in government-owned manufacturers. So now I'm going to talk about the sugar market, its specificities. So the market is a really very volatile market because there are several reasons, but the big reason is that big part of the sugar grows in the same geographical area, like for example in Brazil, and in this kind of climates there are quite often like big storms that can destroy a part of the production. And the global price of sugar isn't representative of the cost of production, because almost every country produces sugar, so they have like kind of internal policies or taxation or quotas. Like it's the government of each country that can change the habit. The prices in the international market aren't representative of the global market, because each country doesn't have the same cost of production. For example, a farmer in Africa will be paid really less than a farmer in France, for example. And even like the production of sugar beet and sugarcane, it's not the same cost. Like sugar beet is in general more expensive. And it isn't really a free market because governments can apply their own policies in the production, and there's also the World Trade Organization of Sugar, who can, for example, limitate the production like they did for the European Union to avoid a surplus in supply. So I'm going to let the best my colleagues.
Okay, I'm going to speak about demand of sugar. The overall demand of sugar in the world are increasing, with about 1.5 to 2% per year, and US is no exception. As you can see on the graph from 2010 to 2014, the demand of sugar in the US are increasing steadily. But however, US are in a situation where the demand exceeds the supply, so in order to cover the quantity demanded, they need to import sugar. As you can see on the graph, the import of sugar has increased steadily from 2000. They import mostly sugar from Brazil in the form of raw sugar. Demand of sugar in the US is an elastic market, as a change in the price has a non-parity determination of the quantity wanted by the customers. In other words, the law of demand applies here, mostly in the form of income effect. This means that a raise in the price has an impact on people's purchasing power, so they buy less when the price rises. There are found some signs of a shift in demand curve in the demand in the US. Because in the US there have been more and more focus on healthy and eating healthy, so a lot of substitute goods to sugar are coming up as well. This is shown in the graph here. And now Nicolas is going to talk about the supply.
I'm going to talk about supply between 2011 to 2014. As you can see on this graph, the sugar market can be easily compared to the Wall Street trade, with the price in this graph is continuously going up and down. Here you can see the difference between December 2010 and December 2013 about the production of the countries. Now I'm going to talk about the production between several countries. These are the top 8 most sugar producer in 2005, with Brazil in first place with 28.13 million metric tons, which represents nearly 50% of the production worldwide. As you can see, in 2010, the Brazil production grew to 38.745 million metric tons. So, and for other countries, the production had decreased. For example, US went for not US. European Union went from 21.70 million metric ton to nowhere in the top 8. Now I'm gonna let Andreas talking about the price of sugar in the US and Brazil.
So I will be talking about the price of sugar in US and Brazil. So I'll start with the US, with a graph of the monthly prices over the past 5 years, so from 2010 to today. So you can see from the graph that since 2011, the market for sugar has been down, and there's been a downwards trend of prices, as you can see on the graph. So there are many reasons for this decrease in prices. The main one being the major surplus in the global production of sugar. This surplus led to a big decrease in prices in order for the market to reach a new equilibrium. Another possible reason for this decrease in prices is the big pressure on society about health, as there has been a significant amount of obesity and diabetes increase in recent years, and the sugar has a direct link with it. So this in turn could have had an effect on the demand, bringing it down, and with it the price. But when looking at the same graph for Brazil, you see that the price fluctuation for Brazil is much more stable. You can see in the past 5 years the price has remained quite stable. So the reason for this is because Brazil is the leader in supply and production, and so they do not suffer from surplus like the US do, because in Brazil all the surplus they have is simply exported, so the price are relatively constant. So now Arthur will talk about the trends and impacts.
So, as said before, the price of sugar has been decreasing since 2011. This has an impact on every actor of the chain of production. So now we are going to see who they are and how they are touched by this phenomenon. So first, who suffer? The first one to suffer is the company which produce substitute goods such as stevia or syrup, because the sugar seems to be more attractive on the market. So the substitute company lose part of sales. The second one is the sugar farmer. They spend the same amount to produce the sugar, but they sell it at a lower price, so they lose a lot of money in the sale. Who benefit now? So the first one to benefit is the company which producing food. Every food contains sugar, so they save a lot of money because they buy sugar at a lower price and they sell the product at the same price. The second one is the consumer, but it's on a long term, because the price of food won't change in one day, so we have to wait a lot before feeling the change. And the last one is the sugar refiner, because they buy the sugar at a lower price and they sell it at the same price, so the margin is bigger than before. So now we are going to introduce you Nicolas for the conclusion.
So, as a conclusion, we can say that as the surplus of the sugar in the sugar market is still huge, from this we can conclude that in order to profit from sugar prices, it's important to watch global sugar production trends at all time, as it's the biggest short-term and long-term mover of sugar prices. Thank you for your attention.